Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Mary Gilbert, and I am a community nutrition instructor for Michigan State University Extension, covering Sanilac and Huron counties. I'll be your host as we navigate through our presentation today. Before we start, I would like to thank all of you for attending our Healthy Living Together webinar on eating healthy on a budget. This presentation comes to us today from Michigan State University Extension Community Nutrition Instructor, Carol Bublitz. Healthy Living Together is a project that was developed by McKenzie Health System in collaboration with the Sanilac County Health Department, MSU Extension, Start Collaborative, Sanilac County Community Mental Health, to help you on your path to a healthier life. Before we begin, I would like to cover some of the housekeeping items on our agenda. Throughout the course of this presentation, everyone other than the speakers will be automatically muted. We will have the Q&A function open, and it's at the bottom of your screen for any questions that you may have. We will address these questions at the end of our presentation. This event is recorded, and the link to the recording will be sent in a follow-up email. Thank you, and with that, I will turn it over to Carol Bublitz to start our presentation.
Well, thank you, Mary. So as you can see, we're going to be talking about healthy eating on a budget. And a lot of people think healthy eating, they think vegetables. I hear a lot, I can't eat healthfully, it's too expensive. So today we're going to explore how to eat healthfully, not just vegetables, and how to do it within our resources. MSU Extension programs and materials are open to everyone. It's one of our core values that everyone is welcome, regardless of their circumstances, to take part in the things that we bring out for you to put into practical use in your lives. You might hear me refer to some trade names or commercial products. You might see some pictures that remind you of a certain brand name. These do not imply an endorsement by MSU Extension or USDA's SNAP ad, or even me, or bias against any of those that are not mentioned or are not seen. So a lot of people tell me when they hear the word budget, the feelings they get are of being overwhelmed, or that things are difficult or unpleasant. There doesn't seem to be a very positive association with the word budget. Some people even fearful of the arithmetic and all of that sort of stuff related to budgeting. However, with a few tips and some tools, budgeting can become something that helps us feel in control. We can feel more empowered to take control of our eating, to keep it healthfully, and to stay within our resources. So what's this big deal about a budget? Well, the basics of a budget are, it's a plan to balance our spending with our resources so we get everything we need without overgoing the amount of resources we have. Let's start just by identifying resources. What are our assets? Do you have income, a cash allotment? Do you use food benefit programs such as SNAP or maybe a food pantry, a food distribution? Are you part of a food co-op? Do you have skills, or would you like to learn skills such as gardening, hunting, fishing? All of these can be food resources. Commonly, many people will use the SNAP program. SNAP is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, and it used to be called food stamps. Now it's a electronics benefits transfer card, like a debit card, and you can apply for a SNAP card at your Department of Health and Human Health and Human Services Department. If you do use SNAP, another program that coincides with it is Double Up Food Bucks. This stretches your food buying power. At farmers markets, farm stands, and farms that participate with Double Up Food Bucks, you can use your SNAP card or Bridge card, whichever way you'd like to think of it, and purchase the things you would normally purchase with SNAP benefits. You get an equivalent amount of buying power to buy fruits and vegetables only. This is also a benefit to your local community because it increases the buying power in your community. This extra amount that comes to local farmers puts more money into the local economy, and that helps everyone. Another resource might be a mobile or pop-up food pantry. There are stationary food pantries that can be found throughout communities. Often churches and other organizations may have them. You might find blessing boxes, little red food pantries where you could just go and help yourself to a few items. But the mobile pantries come out into communities. It's a truck that unloads foods, and people can go through and choose the foods they want. It's organized by the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan in our area. And if you go to their website at fbem.org, you can find a schedule for where and when the food trucks will appear. New to the area of the thumb, Focus Hope is providing food boxes in a Foods for Seniors program for residents 60 years and older who live in Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, Washtenaw, Lapeer, Sanilac, Huron, St. Clair, and Tuscola counties. You can call them at 313-494-4600 or email food@focushope.edu to find out how to apply. If your household has people who are pregnant or 5 years old or younger, you may be eligible for the Women, Infants, and Children Supplemental Food and Nutrition Program, more commonly known as WIC. WIC provides food purchasing power, but also nutrition information and support for eligible people. Most notably, they provide breastfeeding support for people who are breastfeeding or who are pregnant. One good tool to use when thinking about a budget is a calendar. You can go online and find this calendar that's branded with the Sparty helmet and the MSU Extension branding, but you could use any calendar. You can even create your own calendar on the back of a scrap paper if you like. It's a good place that you can put when your benefits occur, and it's something you can refer back to see what worked, what didn't, and to plan for the next month. On your calendar, you might put when to expect any benefits. When is payday? When do you get a new allotment on your Bridge card? When is the farmer's market open? Things like that. You might put down special dates, such as the school party where you have to send a treat for the children, or a birthday party. Things where you'll have to use some of your food resources to cover something unusual. Also, you can use your calendar for reminders to make the most of any food benefits you have. Things like expiration dates of benefits. When does your WIC end? When do seasonal benefits like the Double Up Food Bucks, when does that begin? When do you plan to shop? Are there trips to new places that you want to make sure you don't forget? Perhaps you've got Senior Project Fresh and you want to make sure that you get to the market and use those coupons. You might want to jot down what days you plan to use benefits or specific foods. Anything that will help you to make sure that you use the benefits you have. If we can plan our meals, that helps too. If we plan to use large items multiple times, so that throughout the week we're using these really expensive items, then that can save us money in the long run. For example, perhaps I'll cook 2 pounds of dry beans. I can make a bean soup that day and then save some of the beans and put them in the freezer. One of my favorites was I would cook my beans overnight in the slow cooker, and then I would mash them, put them in an ice cube tray and freeze them, pop out the ice cubes, put them in a freezer bag, and my kids could take them out of the freezer, pop a couple in the microwave, spread them on a tortilla, sprinkle them with cheese, and they had an after-school snack. Another way is if you buy meat in large pieces, things like hams, turkeys, chicken, and so on. You might cook it in different ways, or you might just cook it and package it and freeze it so that you can make perhaps a stir fry one day and perhaps a casserole another. You might choose to have a shopping buddy. If you and a friend or a relative can purchase different large items and do some of the prep work and then trade equal value portions, that can not only stretch your dollars, but give you more variety, because it's very tempting to buy additional items in order to get the variety. One great place to find information about eating healthfully and help with figuring out how to save money is with MyPlate. We can start simple with MyPlate. If we go to myplate.gov, you can download an app to your phone. It will even sync with your smartwatch, and you can have the information available at MyPlate. Or you can just go to the MyPlate website and look through it. There's information for people of every age group. There's a whole list of recipes available, and some of them are designed specifically to save money. There are all kinds of instructional things by each food group. You can even find activities for children. MyPlate has a variety of tools that can help you make healthful choices so that they're also affordable. And you can go to MyPlate and download an app called Shop Simple with MyPlate. Shop Simple with MyPlate helps you to find savings that are near you. And as you can see from this image here of a phone, there are a few different things that you can look for near you. So that's something that you can explore. So right now, I'd like to just take a break, look beyond your computer, look off in the distance for a few seconds, because it's not real great for us to stare at the computer all of the time. And we've kind of been sitting here for a while. I'm going to give you a chance to move a little bit. We're going to look at some different items, and we're going to look at this and that and see if we think that they are something that might be a good use of our food resources. And you can do some physical activity with it. You don't have to. No one would even know if you did or not. But it gives you an opportunity to move a little bit while we're talking and to help you stay a little bit more focused on this topic that can be difficult for some people. So we're going to decide whether each item is right or wrong for us. There's no objective right or wrong, just a chance to think about these things at home instead of in the grocery store aisle. So if you're going to do some movement with me, if you agree, any kind of vertical motion, nodding your head, yes, in sign language, moving your arms up and down. You can stand up and do squats if you want to. I'm not going to, but you certainly can. And then if you disagree with something, a horizontal motion, shaking your head, no, arms side to side. You can do torso twists, you can sidestep, anything that works for you. And again, no one's going to see you, so feel free to move in whatever way is comfortable for you. So let's look at snacks. Having a snack attack? Are the cheese powder coated corn tortilla chips a good use of your resources? Probably not, because they don't have a lot of nutrition for the amount of calories they give us or for their cost. But perhaps you have someone in your household who can't do gluten and has to have non-wheat type snacks. Maybe it is something that's beneficial for your family. The cheese-coated ones tend to be a little higher in sodium, so not as helpful. A plain one might be a better choice. baked ones might be better choice than the fried ones. Or how about 100% whole wheat cracker? Again, if gluten is an issue, that's not a good choice, no matter how much money you could save with it. Either one, you might find store brands as opposed to finding name brands. Oh, what about beverages? So here we have Soda-lish cola. Well, perhaps a cola or a ginger ale or something like that is something that you use for tummy troubles or headaches. In that case, it might be helpful to have a little bit of it around. To drink it as a routine beverage, again, low in nutrients, high in cost. What do you think? Do you think it's a good choice? What about plain water? Where I live, tap water is easy and safe, but there are places where perhaps you're having issues with a well, or perhaps you don't like the taste of tap water. Perhaps a filter type thing would be a better way to have tap water and still have it cost less than bottled water, and also to reduce the amount of packaging that you have to deal with afterwards. Even when we have to do things like purchase garbage bags, there's a cost associated to using them. So let's not fill them any more than we need to. How about prepackaged or do-it-yourself foods? Here are some baby carrots in individual packages. These might be helpful if you're doing a large quantity of people and you need to worry about keeping everything sanitary. But generally, they cost more than if we bought bulk carrots and prepared them ourselves. However, perhaps you're a person with a cast, a sling, arthritis, carpal tunnel. It might be that scrubbing and peeling and cutting the carrots is very difficult, and it might be better for you in the long run to buy the already prepared ones. How about fruit punch? Fruit punch, again, low in nutrition, high in added sugars. Is it a cost that something that you would want to use? Or is it a resource that your resources would go farther if you did something else? 100% fruit juice might be a better choice, especially if you're using something like WIC, where that's one of the benefits. Certainly using 100% fruit juice once a day as a serving of fruit would be a really good choice for many of us. How about proteins? Eggs tend to be a low-cost protein. Even when they're really pricey, if we compare them with other animal proteins, they tend, serving by serving, to be cheaper. But wonder if you're allergic to eggs or you don't like eggs. What about legumes like dried beans or peas? They might be a really good choice. They're also a good choice for people who have a philosophical reason for not consuming animal products. And they do tend to be less costly, again, than the big pieces of proteins that we purchase in the meat aisles. So if we begin at home, if we plan for our shopping to last us for 1 or 2 weeks, that helps reduce impulse buys. Impulse buys are really an enemy to saving money. If we can compile healthy, nutritious recipes that our household enjoys and plan menus, maybe not each and every meal, but certainly an idea of what we're going to do throughout this 1 to 2 weeks, we can use that to make a shopping list. We can take that shopping list and consider it a contract with ourselves. We're only going to buy the things that are on this list. Now, it doesn't have to be too hard and fast. So for example, if I get to the store and I had planned to buy peaches and I find that they're all wrinkly and bruised, and apples seem like they're a good deal, I could substitute apples for peaches. But if I'm going down through the aisles and I see something that, like, oh, look at that chocolate cake mix and chocolate frosting, I can go, oh, that's not on my list. And that wouldn't substitute healthfully for anything on my list. So it can help us to resist that impulse buy that can be so costly. In the store, you might use a sales flyer from the store, coupons, including digital coupons, store loyalty programs. Meijer has a flash food program where you can go online and they will offer foods that are close to the end dates or about to be removed from shelves because there's new shipment coming in or something like that. If we can avoid the prepackaged and processed foods, we'll probably save some money on that. And if we buy produce that's in season, we're more likely to get more for the amount of resources we spend. There is an app, What's in Season app, that can help us to understand which foods those are likely to be. Back at home, if we can make meals with similar ingredients, so we're using things, we bought a rotisserie chicken, we're going to have a little bit of chicken for one meal, and maybe there's enough for sandwiches for lunches and some to make chicken soup later. That's a great way to stretch our resources. We can also choose meals that we can use for leftovers. So perhaps I'm making this shepherd's pie and I'm going to serve half of it tonight and half of it tomorrow. We can cook larger quantities and freeze the portions for later use. So maybe we'll buy that 5-pound chub of ground beef and just cook all of it and portion it, put that in the freezer, and we can pull it out. It would be convenient and keep us from perhaps buying so many convenience foods that are so tempting when we're tired. And it would stretch our food resources and we would have a healthful food on hand. If we check the ingredients that we already have in our pantries, cupboards, refrigerators, freezers, that can stop us from running out to the store for last minute things. Make sure that we have everything we need before we start. The more we go into the store, the more likely we are to have an impulse buy. We should minimize waste to maximize our resources. If I had to throw away food, next time I shouldn't buy as much. Maybe I bought one of those packages that has 3 heads of romaine lettuce and I went bad before I could use it all. Well, maybe next time if I just buy 1 head and don't have to waste it, that might be better. Planning a leftover night. So one night we have a dinner salad perhaps, and the next night we have some as a side salad, and maybe some of that lettuce could go on a sandwich. Rotating our foods so that we move the older ones to the front and put our newer ones in the back. It's called first in, first out, FIFO. It keeps us from letting foods go to waste, and it makes sure that we're always using fresh foods and not neglecting things and having lost them. I know I'm famous for not knowing what's underneath the cheese drawer in my refrigerator, or for not checking how many eggs are in the egg carton and then having to go back and get more. But if I'm rotating them all the time, I have a chance to look at them and make sure that I'm buying the right things. If you're using the SNAP or other things like Medicaid, you have a MyBridges account. You want to keep your contact information updated. If there's a change of some type, you'll get your updates through your account, and you can log in there to find out what your benefit amounts are. So before you go shopping, that's one way to determine how many SNAP benefits you would have. You can also call the toll-free number 1-844-464-3447 and follow the prompts to check your benefits. You may also find how much is left on your previous receipt. Ooh, have you thought about going fishing? Fish is a great source of lean protein. Michigan is surrounded by and crisscrossed with waterways. But if you're going to if you're going to go fishing, I would really recommend that you check out the 8 Safe Fish in Michigan brochure from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. They have an Eat Safe Fish guide for the various areas, and you can also get it for the entire state. So perhaps you live in the Thumb and you want to know about fishing, but you're going to the UP to visit someone and you want to know about there. You can choose each of those sites. Or if going online doesn't work well for you, you can call Michigan Department of Health and Human Services at 1-800-648-6942, and they'll send you a free copy in print. And I encourage you to make sure you have a fishing license, because if you get caught fishing without one, it's going to cost you more than what you save by fishing. Likewise, if you hunt, make sure you have that hunting license and that you follow the current recommendations, all of the gun safety recommendations, the licensing. And MSU Extension has in our Michigan Fresh downloads, handling, using, and storing venison. These are great sources of inexpensive protein if you have ways to safely acquire them, process them, and use them. Michigan Fresh also has information on produce. So it's a great place to go and look and see what's there. There's recipes on some of the things. You may find many helpful things. As well as the Michigan Fresh downloads, MSU Extension has smart gardening. So you can learn more about vegetable gardening, which is great. SNAP benefits can actually cover seeds and edible plants. And for every dollar we spend on seeds and fertilizer, home gardeners can grow an average of $25 worth of produce. MSU Extension also provides the food safety hotline. So are you trying to find out whether or not that food that you found in the fridge is edible? What is this expiration date, use by date, sell date, best by date? What does that mean? How long are these leftovers good? How can I preserve foods? So MSU Extension Food Safety Hotline can answer those. It's open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. The number is 877-643-9882. And you may have to leave a message, but they will call you back. So now you're all ready. You've had your budget, you've had your shopping list, you've used all of your resources, your plan is in place to balance your spending and your resources. Here is what you can accomplish. This person would have spent $53.93, but instead spent only $37.94. This person saved $15.99, which is about 30% of the cost of food otherwise. Does that sound like something you can do? I think you can. Now you've learned that budgets don't have to be frightening. They don't have to be overwhelming. They're simply balancing our resources and our spending, using tips and tools to make that doable and help us to feel in charge of our spending. Now, you can look at it as something that you have accomplished and be proud of yourself instead of being worried. And remember, you can squash impulse buys for a harvest of savings and for good health. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Carol. That was wonderful. Let's get this up. All right. So at this time, I will be leaving space open to answer questions in the Q&A function. And thank you all again for attending the webinar on eating healthy on a budget with Carol Bublitz. So I'll give everybody a few minutes if there's questions to put those in the Q&A at this time. Carol, I am seeing a question in the chat. Can you use your benefits to purchase canning materials?
Oh, that is a great question. I don't believe that you can do anything non-food. So if it's SNAP benefits, those are for foods, but certainly you can use them to purchase the foods that you want to preserve. But to purchase things like a pressure canner, a hot water bath, jars, lids, rings, all of the different accessories that can be so helpful. those, they do have some recommendations about that. I would really encourage you to contact that food safety hotline and talk to a food safety expert about how to acquire those safely, but I don't believe there is any assistance for that.
Always does such a good job that I have questions prepared and then you always answer them while you speak.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I have got a shout out in the Q&A from Nola. She says, awesome job.
Well, thank you.
I think at this time we have left a little bit more room. Nina says some stores also have reward programs like Meijer, and I believe you touched on the Flash Food app, and that is actually one of the questions that I had for you. She speaks about you can earn extra money too, with like Meijer or Walmart has an app that you can do that with, but you can explain that.
Yes, and you just have very well.
Thanks.
Some of them, I know Kroger is one that when you use the rewards program, they mail you coupons. So that's another way to get some really good coupons that are fine-tuned to the things you actually purchase.
Yeah. Going to give this just one moment. Okay, so everyone, thank you again for attending Eating Healthy on a Budget with Carol Bublitz. Our next Healthy Living Together webinar will be called Organizing Tips and Tricks. This webinar will take place on October 16th at 12 p.m. with Connie Kramer. And thank you everyone again. Have a great day.